I'm not a lawyer, but we are up to plea deal number 3 in the YSL RICO trial, and that is for Marquavious Huey, aka the other Quay. If you're unfamiliar, Marquavious Huey was facing 19 charges in this indictment. That includes charges for armed robbery, car hijacking, possession of a shank in jail, possession of a cell phone in jail, gang charges, and more. With the guilty plea he is entering into, he is ultimately sentenced to 25 years total, 5 of those years being suspended, 9 of those years will be served in jail, and the remaining 11 years will be spent on probation.
Marquavious Huey, Marquavious.
How old are you?
28.
And how far did you go in school?
12th grade, high school diploma.
Do you understand that this is a negotiated plea of guilty, which means that the state will recommend to the court the following sentence? As to count 1, which is conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, the state's recommendation is 20 years to serve 9 years in custody, the balance of 11 years on probation. As to count 3, armed robbery, based on the negotiations, the state will reduce the armed robbery to robbery and offer a sentence of 20 years to serve 9 years in custody, concurrent with count 1, the balance of 11 years on probation.
Since there's 19 charges, I'm gonna skip the rest of this, but I already told you at the beginning of this video, the overall recommended sentence from the state is 25 years total, 5 years suspended, 9 years to be served in jail, 11 years on probation. Got it?
How do you plead to the charges in that indictment?
I plead guilty.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon to this honorable court, Your Honor. I'd like to begin by expressing to the court that we emphatically and categorically deny all of the recitation that's been presented by the court with respect to some of these allegations that's been laid out by the state. However, we do recognize that there are enough factual allegations in the recitation to support each and every count to which Mr. Huey is pleading this afternoon. So we do stipulate that there is enough to move forward with this plea. Your Honor, Mr. Marquavious Huey was born in Atlanta, Georgia. He lived in the Jonesboro South community, a neighborhood project in the Atlanta community. He grew up there. He's seen a lot of things in his short 28-year life. His father was murdered in 2010, and he's been without a father for a number of years. He's been raised by his mother as a single parent. He has a number of siblings. There have been times when Mr. Huey and his mother and his family have been homeless and have lived out of a car. So he's had a very, 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 very hard life as it relates to his upbringing. Notwithstanding that, Your Honor, he did manage to graduate from high school. Mr. Huey, Your Honor, now has 2 children. He's 28 years old. He has 2 children. He has a 5-year-old son, Your Honor. He has a 2-year-old little daughter that was born in July of 2022. He has never met or seen his daughter in person until today, as she's here in this courtroom. He recognizes that choices puts him before this court in this case. Your Honor, we are asking this court to take into consideration that he has no prior felony convictions, and he wants to, when he gets out, he wants to start and become affiliated with a nonprofit organization where he can be able to talk to young children, teenagers, because he was a teenager when he lost his father, and things begin to take a turn for Mr. Huey. He wants to be able to tell teenagers, young boys, young black boys, he wants to be able to say to them, don't do what I did. I have linked Mr. Huey up with an organization called Young Generation Movement, and I've known that nonprofit organization and the founder of that organization for a long period of time. He's also present in this courtroom, and I've linked Mr. Huey up with them so that when Mr. Huey gets out of custody He will be able to have an organization that can mentor him, that he can align himself with, where he can begin to engage himself with anti-violence nonprofit conduct and mentoring other young people. He also, in terms of being able to earn an income, because he is now, Your Honor, if this court accepts this plea, Mr. Huey will now, for the first time, be a convicted felon. He wants to get his commercial driver's license, Your Honor, and he wants to get a trucking company and be able to earn a living for himself. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor to represent Mr. Marquavious Huey along with my son, Attorney Carlton Matthews Jr.
Yes, his attorneys were father and son. We love to see it.
Who also would like to address the court at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Huey does not allow his mistakes to define him, but he is remorseful, Your Honor. Mr. Huey will have a release date, Your Honor. I'm confident that he'll be a working-class citizen in society when he is released.
Mr. Huey, I am sure that Mr. Matthews Sr. and Mr. Matthews Jr. have, I know that they have been working with you and negotiating with the state for over the entire course of this trial and proceeding, but very, very hard over the last week and a couple of days. I know that you know that given the severity and the number of charges that you were facing, that had you been convicted of all of those charges at trial, you were looking at the possibility of 3 consecutive life sentences, plus I think about 100 years after that.
You heard her. 3 life sentences plus 100 years. I told y'all it was 19 charges.
So the fact that the state is recommending jointly with your attorneys that your total sentence be 25 years with 9 of those to serve is, it's frankly remarkable, and something that you should not take for granted or take lightly at all. And I hear what both Mr. Matthews have said about the challenges facing you in your life, and I am sorry for the loss of your father. One would hope that to have anybody that they love taken from them in a violent way like murder might have an impact upon their lives that would lead them in the right direction, but it's not particularly surprising that sometimes that's not what happens and it goes in a worse direction instead. I hope that with your age and with having really been faced with the distinct possibility of spending the entirety of the rest of your life in prison, the fact that you are getting this opportunity is not going to be wasted. I hope that you appreciate what the Matthews have done to go out of their way to line up somebody to be looking out for you when you are released from prison. And I find the plea to be freely, knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily entered with an understanding of the consequences, and I will accept it as such, with a total sentence of 25 years to serve 9 in custody, balance of 14 years after that, 9 of those on probation and 5 suspended. You know, somebody with a high school diploma, which is more than a whole lot of people ever achieve. So you've already achieved and proven that you can achieve good things. You need to make sure that during your time incarcerated that you don't pull any of the kind of thing that you have been, that you actually are pleading guilty to, at least some of, by having contraband or in any other way getting in trouble, because that's not going to bode well. I am going to recommend a transition program for you, so I hope that you take advantage of that. And you have had a fine example next to you for the past 2 years of what somebody can do with their lives. So don't forget about that, and be the father that you need to be and that you ought to be to your very young children. They're still going to be very young when you get out. And please make sure that you abide by all your probationary conditions, because if you don't, then you're going to be back to see me. And because I recognize how much of a break you are getting right now, I'm probably not going to be as lenient if you come back before me again, because you are getting a huge opportunity to turn your life around, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that's the sentence of the court, and I want to wish you good luck and good fortune. You can get through the next few years, and then you can have the rest of your life to do good work with.
Can you address the court?
Yes, I should have asked that, I'm sorry.
That's okay, Judge. Thank you.
I want to thank the court and thank God. And I want to apologize to my kids, my family, and everybody who done supported me in this stressful process. And, I plan to do my time, come back, be a better man.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. All right, let's take a recess.
That was it for today. There are 3 co-defendants still left that have not accepted pleas. We do not know where they stand. And that is Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, Shannon Stillwell, and Diamante Kendrick, aka Yak Gotti. We'll see what tomorrow brings. But before I go, don't do nothing that's gonna make me have to make an I'm not a lawyer but video on you. Okay? Make smart decisions.